I'll now call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Welcome everyone to the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc at our regular council session. Excuse me. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who have taken care of this land, including the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. Roll call, all are present. Motion to approve this evening's agenda. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? Opposed if any, the motion is carried. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda are presentations, delegations. Our first this evening is Julianne Kloss to speak on a request to review an application to the Community Improvement Plan. Thank you, Julianne. I'm very lenient. We have 5 minutes. I may go 1 or 2 minutes over. I always like to warn people.
Awesome, thank you.
Not surprised.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Julianne Kloss, and I'm here to respectfully ask Council to reconsider our CIP application for additional unit at our house, 53 Hemlock Boulevard East. We originally applied to the CIP program in June of 2024. At that time, we followed the exact instructions given to us by a staff member coordinating the program. We were told that we were eligible as long as we paused work immediately, which we did. However, due to staffing changes, we were later informed that our entire application would need to be redone to meet a new set of requirements. This caused months of delay. Importantly, we did not learn about the CIP program from the municipality when we originally applied for our permits. Had we known about it, we never would have started the work in the first place. But once we became aware, we did everything in our power to follow the proper process. We paused construction, resubmitted our documents, and waited. 7 months went by before our application was brought before Council in January. When we were informed that the committee had only recommended funding for the remaining work, we were told, while disappointing, that there had been a similar case where Council had voted against the recommendation that they had received, received the full amount. That case, reviewed at the December 2nd meeting, involved a project where work was substantially more complete than ours. Despite that, Council approved the full grant amount, recognizing that the applicant had no ill intent in applying retroactively, and had said that retroactive applications should be supported if the work aligns with the goals of the program. In contrast, when our application was discussed, the second option for funding had never been fully presented. Council spent less than 1 minute discussing our file. The only questions raised were about the remaining $1.4 million in unused 2024 CIP funds and whether there would be any repercussions for not spending them. There was no discussion of our situation, no reference to staffing delays, and no consideration of the flexibility of the policy. Naturally, we were disappointed to learn that we had not been approved for the full amount, but what was even more disappointing was what followed. At the March 3rd meeting, another application where the work was already fully completed was brought forward. The applicant received a full 12 minutes of discussion. During that time, multiple councillors made remarks recognizing the importance of flexibility in the program's policy, the negative impact of applicants due to staffing changes, and the value that these projects bring to the community. It was stated that the program is good for the community and Council has the option to waive the policy, which was not considered in our case. That applicant was not only granted the full funding for the granted full funding, but also approved for an additional $4,000 of work that was not originally included in the application. Work that one councillor even noted should have been ineligible under the CIP guidelines as it could be considered regular maintenance. This further underscores the inconsistency in the decision-making process and raises real questions about how the policy is being applied and why our application wasn't given the same opportunity. We are a young family trying to create additional housing in our primary residence in a quiet, family-friendly neighborhood. This program was designed to support projects like ours. We missed out on months of potential rental income and missed an energy efficiency grant deadline while we waited for the process to unfold. But we did everything we were told to do. We followed every rule, paused when asked, and stayed in good faith the entire way through. Council has the ability to be flexible under this program. That flexibility has been extended to others. We are not asking for special treatment, but we're asking for equal treatment. All we want is for our application to be reviewed with the same level of care, flexibility, and fairness that others have received. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there any questions, comments from any members of council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for your presentation, and thanks for staying up there. Would you please, I don't have a report in front of me here because it's a presentation, so it doesn't come, but would you review for me quickly what was requested? You gave the breakdown, I didn't have my pen in my hand, but I just want to make a note here. So just what originally were you asking for?
For our CIP grant?
Yes.
So we had begun at the most expensive portion of the work, which was adding an additional entrance. Before we learned about the program, we paused work immediately and then waited for council to review. So we submitted everything to the committee and they presented two options. So one is to cover the remaining work and one is to cover all of it.
And what does, if I may follow up?
Feel free, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So all of the work, do you have the numbers in front of you, what it was that you applied for? Or does staff have the numbers?
I believe I can find the email.
Yeah, I think the CAO can jump in there.
Thank you, 1 second.
Through you, Chair, option 2 on the original report had an amount of $16,227.57.
16,227.
57.
67?
57.
57, sorry. I should turn these hearing aids up. I'm just getting used to them. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Councillor Palmer.
So just for further clarification, the total project was submitted was 16,227, and we awarded her the remaining amount, which was what?
What was the, through you, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
What was awarded was $6,777.56.
So what they would be looking for is the difference, so under $10,000, correct? Is that correct, Julianne?
Yes, yeah.
Any other? Councillor Kennis.
Not so much a question, perhaps a suggestion. I think we're all kind of, we don't have anything in front of us at this point, so could we get something or a return of the application back from staff to a future meeting and for us to have I guess a good clear look at it again? Would that be possible?
Yeah. Turn it over to you, CAO.
Certainly, through you, Mr. Mayor, we can do that.
Councillor Wilsey.
I just wanted to second that. I think that should be a motion, and I'll second that we bring it back to another meeting for reconsideration. Additionally, I'd like to add that with this program, there's a number of people who have been trying to build residences and houses in the municipality to increase rental, increase stock, create affordable housing. Council has gone against staff's decisions on most of the applications that I think we've got this year. So I think we should definitely review this one, and probably we should look at the program. If we're going to be overturning all of it, I think maybe we're too strict on what the requirements are, and we should just limit it to anyone who's doing additional housing. If we're trying to spend $1.2 million, and the maximum of the grants is just over $20,000 plus a building permit fee, well, I think anyone who's building additional housing should be able to get it.
I think, so we have, do you want second motion? You need to make a motion, Councillor?
Yeah, well, I guess I make a motion that the application be brought back to a future meeting for reconsideration.
Okay, we have a second motion to bring a report back. Sorry, Councillor Derbyshire.
Sorry, just one question with that. They don't have to reapply or pay any fees. You're just gonna bring it back on their behalf.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Councillor Pelkman.
Yes, thank you. I had a question to the applicant through the chair.
Sure.
There's no work being waited on right now?
No. The remainder of the work is being mostly done by my husband, so it's the labor is not included.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a second in motion. All in favor of that motion? Those if any carried. Now, Councillor Wilsey, the CAO, wants to speak to your comment about the program.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to all of council, actually, in light of some of the discussion around this year table in the couple of meetings that I've been involved with the CIP since I've been here, we've gone back to the committee and we're looking at maybe a possibly slightly different structure. We still have a finite amount of money that's in that budget, and we have to be careful about how we allocate that. And therefore, we do have some criteria to try and make sure that the applicants come ahead of doing work, because we want to make sure we have enough funds in the account before we do it, before you approve anything. But at the same time, we're going to look if we can put some flexibility for late applications to be dealt with, maybe in a slightly different fashion than we do today, just to keep the process streamlined and get some funds out to people, provided there's money in the budget to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Julianne.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you bringing that forward to council.
Thank you.
Next item is 4.2, Kim Welsh Consolidating Funding Request Review on Strathroy-Caradoc Housing. Mr. Welch, if you could go through this, your report for us.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Is the clerk able to bring the report up to screen for councillors, members of council?
Yes. I'm going to suggest, Tim, if you want to start talking, do it in the interest of time, and then, so I'm going to note to everybody, the Leafs are playing hockey tonight, and that's a very important thing, so we'll let you, and I'm sure you're a Leaf fan, so if you want to start, and then the clerks will endeavor to get it up on the screen.
No, I was 6 years old, almost 6 years old in the last cup, so there we go. Just to start, our firm, so we were TWC. We're a team of 16 people who work in a variety of housing policy, housing needs assessment, and housing development work. And that we've certainly been working in the housing field for myself close to 40 years. That we were approved by council to undertake a review of sort of going forward, if I can put it that way, of the operations of the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation. As members of council are generally aware that there's a board with 7 members. There's currently some vacancies there. There's property management services since the beginning of last year have been undertaken by Temple Property Management. Previous to that, the work for just the first building was done by staff members at council and staff members, of the municipality. And that currently the administration of the mortgage payments are still undertaken by municipal staff. At a high level, a couple of key things to note is that the corporation currently has a replacement reserve for capital repairs of about $212,000 at the end of last year. And also at the end of last year, there was a request by the Housing Corporation to council for a grant of $500,000 from the municipality. So our firm was tasked with taking a look at that request and look at different options regarding the current and future operations of the Housing Corporation. The Housing Corporation has been building 2 buildings, as members of council are aware. Parkview Manor has been around almost 40 years now. It's a 16-unit building focused on seniors housing. It was created under a former CMHC program, but it no longer has an operating agreement with CMHC. After 35 years, the mortgage was paid off. So there's no formal government requirements about rent levels and levels of affordability in that housing. In 2024, there was a modest operating surplus of about $35,000 for a building of this size. As I mentioned, the building is mortgage free. What was curious is that by the end of 2024, 3 of the 16 apartments were vacant. In discussions with the property manager, it was felt the units would need some refreshing. I mean, it is a building of almost 40 years of age. Also looking at the rents in the buildings, which is mostly ones, but a few 2-bedroom apartments, range from $620 a month to $950 a month. It's a mid-range of approximately $770 a month were the rents on the Parkview building. The more recent building, of course, the Caradoc Place, It was completed towards the end of 2023 with 37 apartments, a focus on seniors and veterans, and a few of the units focused on women with children fleeing domestic violence. That building is now fully rented, but the main financial pressure that we saw in both reviewing the financial books, but also in discussions with staff, was a slower than anticipated rent up in 2024. Renting up started at the beginning of the year. The majority of the apartments here are at market rents as opposed to more deeply affordable rents. And that resulted in a number of months in 2024 where the building was not yet fully occupied. But by the last few months of the year, it was fully rented. And when fully rented, the building is operating on a very modest surplus basis. So they certainly are break-even or slightly modest. Keep in mind that with the building, that 60% of the costs are mortgage payments. And those mortgage payments amounts are fixed for 10 years. The main first mortgage with First National, that's insured by a CMHC program, is set, so it's flatlined for a 10-year period. And the two of the other larger ones of the operating costs in that building are property tax at almost 10% of the operating budget, and property management fees that represent almost 8% of the operating budget. We did see over the first few months of 2025, there was progress about renting up. So the two vacant one-bedroom units have been rented at $1,000 per month. Noting that this is higher than the rents have been in the Parkview Manor building, they're still below what's out there in the market when you're looking at for one-bedroom apartments that may be in the $1,300 to $1,600 range. The vacant two-bedroom apartment, my understanding from discussions with the property manager, is that it may need more of a refurbishment, perhaps upwards of $50,000 to get it fully upgraded to rent in the market. But it certainly could be rented for at least $1,200 a month. Quite comfortably, that would still be below market rent. When looking at the overall debt and debt servicing costs of Caradoc Place, with the finalization of the HST rebate, and that often takes a large number of months after the completion of construction before that's in place, there would still be just a little bit over $1.5 million in city loans, because the city did loan some funding to Caradoc Place during construction. That was in addition to the First National mortgage. The goal is to have of that 1.56 million, 1.1 as a long-term municipal loan that can be serviced through the part of the revenue that comes in for the regular rental. But there is, in addition to that, about $465,000 that was loaned during the development phase by the municipality. And the goal here is to try to work on paying that money back to the municipality, so that there's just the long-term loan of the 1.1 million that is paid back in a similar way to a long-term mortgage that would have been held by CMHC. So there is, as we look at the additional rental revenue that's being provided both by the two one-bedroom apartments in Parkview that have been rented up, as well as by later on this year through re-renting the two-bedroom apartment, that will get an even larger operating surplus that could come in and be used to help pay back that $465,000 to the municipality over the next possibly 6 years. There could be a few other things undertaken to help maybe try to make sure that that money is paid back as soon as possible to the municipality. So with the steps that we had in the report are a few things. A few I've already touched on, but one is to move forward as quickly as possible to renovate the vacant two-bedroom apartment. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, there are funds in the current capital reserves that could be used to undertake those renovations. But you need to get certainly quotes that are undertaken by the property management firm, get those renovations done, and get it back on the market as soon as possible so it's generating revenue. One of the things, as I mentioned, that the rents are significantly below, and in some cases, almost half of the market rent. The goal of the Housing Corporation, of course, is to provide rental housing and to have it more affordable than the full market rents, but there is room to move up the rents as there's turnover. This is not making suggestions to raise rents above the provincial rent guideline for existing tenants, but when there is turnover, to give them to, not at full market, but more at the lower end of market, I'll call it, for $1,000 for a one-bedroom unit and $1,200 for a two-bedroom unit. There can also be things that other nonprofits have incorporated, modest fees for parking, for example, to see if there can be a little bit more revenue on that front. As well, it's always good to regularly go out to tender some of these services, whether it's audit or accounting, or the property management services, which are at about 8%, probably a little bit higher than typical in the nonprofit property management world. So it would be good to test the waters in the near future, see if there can be a little bit more operating savings on that front. A couple of other options for the Housing Corporation to consider, and those are the decisions of that corporation, is to, particularly for Parkview Manor, obviously it's a 40-year-old building, are there some energy efficiency retrofits that can help bring down some of the operating costs of the utilities? There are sporadic grants from different levels of government. There's a program called the Affordable Housing Repair Stream that focuses on retrofit to reduce energy costs. So those are something that could be considered by the corporation. If the one other option that could be explored is to have on Caradoc Place, some of the pressure on the current operating costs are the property taxes being about 40% higher than what the budget that was undertaken for that additionally estimated. Could there be a short term, perhaps a 4 to 5 year period where the property taxes are somewhat reduced in order to generate a little bit more surplus in Caradoc Place and repay the municipality, and then go back to full property tax recovery on that building? That's something that council could consider. We think it's also important that it would be helpful for the Housing Corporation to report regularly, certainly perhaps every 6 months, to have an update on the loan repayment plan, so that council can see what actions the Housing Corporation has undertaken and to see progress towards repayment of the loan. So with the options of different approaches to generate more revenue, generate more surplus, particularly from Parkview Place, while still keeping it as more affordable than true market rents, it didn't seem that there was a strong financial reason for recommending an approval of the request for the additional $500,000. We certainly recognize how tight things are for pressures on financial budgets at the municipal level. So that was the conclusion we came to in the report. Thank you. I'm open to any questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you for the report, very detailed. I'm just going to speak to council. You know, I've called a special meeting for council next week, talk about Strathroy-Caradoc housing, and on the docket are the things that Mr. Welch has highlighted: the loan repayment, the financing, how we're going to do that. So I thought it prudent. We need to give it the amount of time that it deserves, whether it's an extra hour or a half hour, so we can discuss it in council and give 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't think was doing justice to the issue, and it was prompted by this report, by the first quarter results of Caradoc Housing. So if you're asking why I called the meeting, the agenda will be coming out in the next day or so, but that was why I called it. There are loose ends or threads, as I call them, that we need to pull at and button up, and Mr. Welch has highlighted 3 of them, or repayments of the loans and reserve money and all. So that is why I've called the meeting, so we can give more time to the discussion and let it lead to where it should. So we'll open up any questions you may have of Mr. Welch. Deputy Mayor.
Just to request, your worship, that this report go to the special meeting that's being called for next week just attach it to the agenda.
Yes, thank you. We will do so. Any other questions? Councillor Wilsey?
We got two. One is if we can get an update, and I'm not sure if this is from, I don't think Tim Welch would have this answer, but on the HST refund, have we actually received that? Because I hadn't heard if we received that or not. That's my first question.
Yeah, fair question. Director Dakin, can you speak to the HST?
Thank you, through the chair to Councillor Wilsey. So we did receive the initial response late last week. So I believe we had a rebate of 1.3 million on that. And I think the request was for 1.5 because there was a change in the status of the housing corp that caused that difference there. And that's also reflected in our next item with the audited financial statements for both.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, and thank you for that. It's glad we've finally made some headway on that from 2023. The next question is actually for Tim Mulch, and looking at the two budgets that he put together. When I look at page 8, the budget that he has for 2025, I just want to see if this is the one that the Caradoc Housing Corp will be using, because it has a number of zeros for things that we know we have to pay for, like cleaning, grounds, so there's nothing in there for snowplow, there's a bunch of items that are missing there. So I just wanted, it's a two-part question. Are we using that as the actual budget? Because it's similar to the first one that was put forward by staff where we didn't have all the expenses for the first coming year. So even knowing that, the net income of being negative 4,794 is not accurate because there's a lot of things missing there. And then when I go to the next page and I look at the mortgage interest and I look at the profit and loss statement for November 2024, the mortgage interest that's listed as number 5120 doesn't actually include the principal. So the net income of being a positive almost 4,000 is actually a negative because of the principal. So it's the same thing that when I was on the board and looked at it, the profit and loss statement doesn't actually match the cash inflow and outflow. So just want to see if these are the ones that Caradoc will actually be using, or if this is final or if it's going to be revised, because with items missing, it can't really be a final one.
So I'll do that as the secretary of the board, if you don't mind. We had that discussion at Caradoc Housing last week, and the answer is no, we will not be using that budget. We'll be bringing forward a budget based on the Q1 actuals and try to extrapolate it forward. So hopefully that helps, Councillor. Yeah, Councillor Kennis.
But just on that, I mean, my limited understanding of accounting is that principal payments aren't an expense. They're I guess an equity payment. It's an after tax payment or an after profit payment. So whereas interest is a deductible expense. So.
Right. Any other questions, Councillor Palmer?
Just to follow up to Councillor Wilsey, I just wonder if the property manager has hired the snow removal and lawn care, is that now rolled into their fee? Could that be why it is missing? Maybe not, but something to clarify.
Probably, and we'll get all the questions. I think these are all fair questions. That's why we need to have more time to discuss this rather than just 15 or 20 minutes. Councillor Derbyshire.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask a question out of the gate. What is council's role here at this point? We've been told you guys are a board of council, you're your own private board. We flip-flop back and forth. How far into the weeds as a councillor do I need to even get on this, or am I just gonna get told, all you need to do is tell us whether we can have the money or can't have the money, and off we go. We're gonna be our own board, running our own way, doing our own thing. Which is where this board has flip-flopped numerous times to, we're private, nope, come back and help us. I just...
Yeah, and actually, Councillor, that's one of the items for discussion next week, to clarify what our role is, right? In council, that's, I think, item number one is, what is Strathroy-Caradoc Housing? What is its role? Are we a local board or are we private? So that is number one. The way it sits today, we are a local board who are governed by laws of Wonka. We're in fact the local board.
So,
But you're right, we're gonna try to answer that question fully next week.
But I guess then that leads me to the question of, if we were a local board, how come the decisions that were being made weren't brought back? Like any other board would bring their expenditures and this and that back to council and say, here's what we wanna do, here's what we're doing going forward. Like the board itself just ran its own thing.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, because I haven't answered, but Councillor Pamela can.
But Caradoc Housing did come back to council several times with budgets, with updates. The mortgage came here for review. I mean, Caradoc Housing wasn't just operating in a silo with no consultation with the council, not at all. I mean, it was operating, day to day. I don't think you wanted Caradoc Housing to come to council with every minor decision, but anything involving, payments or debt came here, and then we also did a series of updates. So I disagree with that statement, Councillor Derbyshire.
Sorry. One follow-up, then we'll move on, Councillor.
I'd just like to clarify, we were all a council when we made the mortgage decisions. There wasn't even a board set up. Now, I don't know who made the solar panel decisions. I don't know who signed for all the extras and overages, if there were any. Who decided the parking lot, the $60,000 for the water removal? Like, to me, if you were a local board, you would have come and said, actually, here's a whole bunch of expenditures over and above what you originally said we can do. But we didn't. What happened was you came at one point and said we need $1.1 million to help because we need a bridge loan, and the county's not giving it to us. Then we needed 2.2 floating line of credit to keep afloat. Like, I guess that's where, to me, when I look at it, before we get to please give us money as a loan because we've already spent the money, we should have said, here's over and above what we've been approved. Is council good with doing this? I guess that's how I would see it. The other way is you ran as a private board and then came to council and said, I need a loan. And council said, all right, well, we'll cover you going forward.
Yeah, fair comments.
No, but I'm just trying to figure out where we're at and now.
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So, I know there's been so many conversations, and what I recall out of it is we did come back to council since I've been on the board, which was June of last year. In the fall, we came back to council with a bunch of numbers, provided an update, and essentially said to council, we think we're gonna need $500,000. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep the properties? Do you want to keep operating the way we're doing it with this board? What do you want to do? That conversation got deferred, and we decided that we would do a more in-depth financial review of things, which we now have. And now we have a special meeting to continue this discussion. So I think the Housing Corp did come back and say, what do you want us to do? We just never got an answer yet.
So that's it. Yeah. Any other, Councillor Kennis?
Just a comment, I can't make the meeting next Monday, but I have to say that this report is a real pleasant surprise to me because it shows that we have a housing corporation that's pretty much break even, as opposed to one that was, we were told may lose $500,000 in 2025. So I'm quite, there may be things to be uncovered, but based on the numbers we've seen in this report, I feel a whole lot better about the situation. So.
Okay. Yep. Thank you for that. Any other comments on this? Thank you, Mr. Welch. It's appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Next item is approval of the 2023 updated draft audited financial statement. Director Dakin, did you wish to speak to it?
Thank you. Through the chair to council. So the report in front of you is basically having council reapprove, I guess is the best way to put it, the financial statements for the municipality for 2023, having now had the 23 financial statements of the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation updated as well at their last meeting. As outlined in the report, we report into our financial statements Lake Huron primary water supply, Strathroy-Caradoc BIA, Tri-Township Arena, and the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation are all get consolidated in. And until those statements are sort of finalized, our statements can't get finalized. So the final approval that was required was with the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation. And as just alluded to previously, there's a difference in the receivable that was set up from the province for the from the federal government for the HST of $183,853. So that was set up as a receivable, and so what was found when we did finally got the rebate, that 183 was actually now, the 183,000 was actually added to the value of the capital work project of the Caradoc Housing, Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation, and the receivable was reduced by that amount. So those numbers are now reflected in the municipal ones because we have to incorporate those numbers into our financial statements. So as you can see through the report, there was an increase in the work in progress and a decrease in the receivable. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay, let's read the motions first. There are two motions. The council received the report for approval and that the December 31st, 2023 draft audited financial statements for the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc be approved. Someone bring the motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. Any questions of the director? Councillor Wilsey.
I just have one that relates back, and this number stayed the same from the previous audit report to this one. On page 30, it shows that we have a $6 million reduction in the 2023 reserves. And that number threw me off a little bit when we looked at the audit the first time. So I compared that back to the document that was presented in council during the 2024 budget. And that document shows that our reserves in 2023 only declined by $3 million. So there's a $3 million delta between what this audit says and what the document that council got shows that our reserves changed. The answer we've got before was because there's two sets of books. There's our cash and our accrual books that we keep separate at the municipality was the answer we received before. But in my mind, I'm just trying to see if I can get a better explanation as to why to reconcile. The audit shows that we had a $3 million reduction in addition to what the document that council have received when we were deciding the budget last fall.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, so I think it's a misunderstanding and a misstatement, to be honest, of the fact that we have two sets of books. We have one set of books. Those are accrual books, which are kept up to date by our auditors and are reflected by our audited statements. We budget based on cash. So there is budget numbers that are based on cash. And a good example would be what we just heard with the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation. Budget numbers reflect debt payments, both principal and interest. Accrual reflects the interest only as an expense. The capital payment or principal payment goes towards an asset and reducing that liability for debt payments. As far as the actual difference between those two numbers, I'll have to get back to you. I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'm more than happy to dive in and find out what those two differences are. But I can say that any statements that come before council as far as budget goes are unaudited. So obviously, now that the audit is complete, we'll go back and take a look at what that difference is and see what there is. But there is no two sets of books. There's one set of books. And we account for everything through accrual, and we budget by cash.
Any other? Yep. Councillor Derbyshire.
maybe in calling it two different sets of books, that sounds like we're accusing of something, which is not what is intended. I think what it is when you look at this is 2023. We're now in 2025. I really hope there's some differences here from where we are now. The problem is we're a year and a half behind when you look at this budget. So, you know, stuff it does change, obviously, very quickly. Our reserve numbers won't be the same as what they say right here as of today. So, like, I didn't want it to sound like when we say we're running two sets of books, we're accusing anyone of doing anything wrong. But essentially, you have two separate systems that you operate in. One, the accrual you are audited on. The cash is what we operate on day to day and what you would come to council with and say there's this much money left in the account. You wouldn't come back and say in 2023 we had 20 million, right? We would want an updated statement, which would be the cash books you would want to see. The accrual is here a year and a half behind where it's supposed to be, or where we are now. Just to kind of clarify for the people at home, so it doesn't sound like, you know, we don't know what we're doing, because that sounds a little bit like that.
And accrual accounting, that's a generally accepted method that most municipalities use, correct, Director Dakin?
Every municipality.
Every municipality plus every audited, I'll put it that way, every audited corporation would use, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yep, we want to follow up, Councilor Derbyshire.
Yeah, no, it's not a follow-up. I was just gonna say, since we are talking about the HST that was awarded, could that letter or that received form be part of the discussion next week so that we can see what it says and what the HST said about it?
Yeah, I think it's item number 3 when they get it out there, Councilor.
Okay.
So we have a second motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you, Director. Next is approval of the meeting minutes from April 7th, 2025. Someone to bring a motion for approval. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Kennis. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Move on to the consent items. There are 1, 2, 3, looks like 5 items under consent. I am going to pull item 6.2 just for a quick, as we receive for information. Any other items anyone wishes to pull? Okay. Thank you. The motion on 6.2.1 is the train stoppages. I'm going to thank Chief Big Rig for getting that to us. I've been waiting for that. As the public, thank you very much. So, again, we have a motion just to receive that report for information. Councilor Kennis, second by Councilor Hippel. All in favor, carried. Motion to receive all the other consent agenda items for information. Councilor Brennan, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor, carried. Councilor Derbyshire, you have 3 motions in front of you.
Okay, my first one is that the roads department create a program to deal with unsafe trees on our roads in the municipality. I believe we should identify the trees that need to be removed, get a costing, and put a time frame together on removal of these trees. So that would be my motion. My thought process is there is a ton of big trees out on rural roads that fall over in the wind and the rain. And when we have to call in emergency vehicles to either look after the road, someone to come in and clean it up, it's costing us a small fortune. So let's maybe be a little more proactive on this here and see if we can get some of them down before Mother Nature takes them down for us.
Seconder for the motion. Councilor Wilsey. I just have a couple of questions. Councilor Derbyshire, generally I'm in favor of the motion. You mean municipal trees, right? Not the ones that are on the county roads?
No.
Like on 81, I mean, you're talking about our
I'm
trees.
talking, yeah, our roads department is great. Just, it's our stuff. Like,
Yeah.
the county deals with the county stuff, and if it's a private tree, it's a private tree. We don't touch. Mine, it's more the municipal.
So I will tell council I'm generally in favor of this motion because I drive down Christina Road all the time and there are trees down there. It is the worst road to drive down after a windstorm. So however council wishes to handle the motion, I agree with it in principle. Councilor Hippel.
Through yourself, First, that's not the worst road, trust me. There's back roads that you can never get down after a light wind. But my question actually is probably to Director Ortiz, and I'm not sure if you would know this or not, but like I thought we had a program that did this. I'm sure that I remember it being a manager or someone coming to count, and this is before Director Ortiz's time, but coming in and saying, you know, we had the building, or not the building department, but they would come in and they would discuss, yeah, we took this down, this down, this down. I'm sure I saw that, so maybe you could kind of refresh my memory if you know of that program, Director Ortiz.
Through the chair, yeah, thank you. I would have to look into exactly what program or the history of that program. We do have staff who are responsible for maintaining trees in our roadways. I think the motion in front of you is maybe a bit bigger in scope, looking at all of the roadways and all the trees and putting a comprehensive program together. I think that a program of that nature would require some additional effort and time to plan and implement.
Deputy Mayor, was your hand up, or did I?
It was. Councillor Hippel asked my question. I thought we already had a program. But this is going to require budgetary consideration and should likely go back to a budget discussion that we'll be entering into, I suspect, late summer, early fall. I'm sure it's going to take some budgetary consideration to put this together.
Can I just?
Yeah, go ahead, and then Councillor Polkman has a question, so Councillor Derbyshire.
As you can see, this is simply to get a costing and a time frame and a number of trees. I'm simply asking for a report to be done on this. If we don't want the report to be done, then that's really all I'm asking for now. I'm not asking for us to start cutting trees tomorrow. I'm asking just for us to put together an unsafe tree. We're not cutting every tree. The ones that are deemed unsafe, we have a roads department that drives around and sees our trees. There's got to be somebody qualified in that department to put together a list like this for us.
Councillor Polkman.
Yeah, I know in the past we had a budget for tree removal. I'm not sure it was an actual program to assess trees, but there were trees definitely being marked, and then we would put that out for a bid to an arborist to cut them down or trim them. My only issue with this is you know, we probably have thousands of trees, and as soon as you put a program together, that means that it has to pass certain criteria. One will be that it will probably have to be an arborist that assesses the trees, not a member of the roads crew. And I know it's again the difference between a farmer who, when they need to replace a culvert on their own property, you know, just does it, and it's done fine, probably stronger than if somebody else with an engineering degree comes along and designs it. But it has to pass that kind of standard for probably for our own insurance company. So I'm not opposed to it. I just think we need to understand the scope of what the ask is, because I believe it's a lot larger than we think it is. It's not just a simple, I'm gonna drive down the road and see which tree I think needs some trimming. Yeah, that's my only comment.
Okay, we'll go move on, because Councillor Brennan, then we'll go back to you, Councillor Bishar, for the last word before we vote. Councillor Brennan, then Councillor Wilsey.
Yeah, in principle, I think it's a great idea, and I would look forward to a discussion at the budget time as to how many dollars a year we wanted to put toward this. Without a dollar figure, I don't know what to do with it, but at budget time, we could come up with a dollar figure and decide how much we want to put into this money a year for ongoing, for probably many years, because the trees keep growing. So maybe we just have a line item for so many tens of thousands of dollars per year that are devoted to this, and we get started on it, make a list, or start making a list, find out which trees are the priorities, and then ongoing, just keep adding to the list, and every year there's money available if it goes through budget. So, you know, maybe it'd be a $25,000 a year item, I don't know. But at budget time, I think we can certainly make a decision on this and decide how much we want to apply to a program like this, and I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to Councillor Wilsey, then Director Ortiz, and then to Osborne, Councillor Derbyshire.
Yeah, my thoughts on this is I think we have a lot of rural residents who drive down those roads. We need to do something to keep them safe. I would consider tree maintenance as part of an asset management plan. If a tree falls and it falls on our road, it damages our asset. We need to start working on our asset management plan, and this is one small way to do that. So I'm 100% in favor of this, but let's get a costing and put a time frame together and see how long it's going to take to get caught up.
I'm just gonna follow up. Today at County Council, they talked about the tree program, and it was deemed an asset management to look at the trees. So, Director Ortiz and Councillor Derbyshire will bring us to a vote.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to just point out that we do have a line item in the operating budget for tree maintenance. In 2023, I think we spent about $89,000 on tree maintenance. A little bit less in 2024, and we do have close to 100,000 allocated for maintenance in 2025 for this year. And that's routine maintenance. Trees fall, we clean it up. So I think, again, anything beyond routine maintenance would be an add-on to that.
Councillor Derbyshire, then we'll bring it to a vote.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I didn't set it out clearly enough in here. I thought I did with costing, time frame, and this and that. When I spoke to the roads department head, our conversation went, this is probably a 20-year plan. Let's try to get what we can put together annually. I mean, but I don't know. From the sounds of it, it sounds like it's a totally different motion. We're moving it to this or that. Like I guess I'm unclear as to what more I should have put in here, aside from asking someone to help create this program. I don't understand through the discussion what more you guys want to do to vote on this, other than to move it to the budget.
Actually, if I'll help, Councillor, it's pretty clear to me what you've asked for. You've asked for a costing and put a time frame together, which may come up as part of the budget discussion. For now, you've just asked for a report on the costing and a time frame to do it. I understand that,
But
Councillor.
it feels like.
Yeah, no, well, let's bring it to a vote on your motion. So, yeah, then we're gonna vote.
But a friendly amendment, go with all of that.
Yep.
And then say to be considered for the next budget as an addition to the 2026 budget or whatever. Like, just because we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do it because we're gonna consider it at budget time. So let's throw it in there to consider it budget, and that way it's not just a report, but it's a report that's going somewhere, and we consider it budget time.
Are you okay with that friendly amendment, Councillor? It'll get it done.
A lot of times at budget, we axe any new projects. That's the only, whatever,
Okay, so
all I really wanted this guy to do was do a report on what this could possibly cost and how many trees approximately we might have. That's it.
Let's go with his initial motion. Deputy Mayor, so we can bring this to a vote.
Yeah, so, Councillor Derbyshire asked a question, what else do we want? Well, I suggested going over to budget, because how much money are we gonna put together to pay somebody to go out and select the trees and develop the program? So your question to me would be, Councillor Derbyshire, we're gonna take $25,000 of the $100,000 to hire a qualified person to go out and drive the municipality and look at the trees and tell us which ones need to come down. That's the program. That's what's missing in my mind, because I don't think we have anybody to actually do a program right now and bring it to us.
But who's doing the $89,000 worth of tree work now as part of the cleaning, the beautification, or whatever, the pruning? Somebody's picking trees. No, but I mean, this is, and if we need an arborist at $25,000, then just forget it. Let them drop and clean them up. Like,
Okay, we have a second motion in front. Councillor Kennison.
Just a comment on this. I mean, I've had a couple of people here in Strathroy that have had trouble with trees, that they were getting dangerous, and you know, they called me. I let the town know that this person had a tree they were concerned about, and in most of those cases, you know, not in all of those cases, someone from the town came out and made a decision whether the tree stayed or went. And I assume that's where part of the money goes to pay for people to look at the trees and to take them down if they need to come down, so.
Okay, we have a second motion in front of you. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Councilor Derbyshire, your second motion regarding ditches.
Whoa. We asked the drainage superintendent to put together a program to have ditches cleaned out on a schedule. I'd like the money to come out of the farm property taxes that are collected, not all the money, just that's where it's coming. Now, I'll give you background on the conversation I had with the drainage inspector on how he's trying to figure out how this could possibly work. We do roughly $200,000 worth of cleaning out per year on these ditches. I hear a lot of times out in our ward, especially from farmers, what am I getting for my money? Here's something that we can say, $200,000 of yours is going to maintain what makes your farm profitable, which is getting the water off it, your drainage. This will not include repairs, upgrades, any of that. This is a simple cleaning maintenance program to every ditch, which helps not only farmers, but all of us in the long run.
So I just have one question, Councilor. Is that municipal drains or roadside ditches?
These are open ditches, like that get cleaned out that way. I think a pipe, we can deal with that. Normally they're just repairs or they're an upgrade. The ditch, we have to physically clean the silt out every year, or not every year, but should be done on a 5-year to 8-year basis. A lot of times it doesn't get done because it has to be petitioned. A lot of people don't want to petition against their neighbor. So sometimes you'll look down the road and you go, you know, that guy's having a tough go of it. He probably can't afford another $1,000 on his tax bill. So we wait one more year, we wait one more year, we make one more year. Next thing you know, these ditches are 17 years old. They're costing us huge amounts of money now because we have to cut full-grown trees, trim back all the bush, plus take out feet of sediment instead of inches. Whereas if we got onto a program of cleaning out, our clean out would go from 200,000 and we only get 20 kilometers of drain to we spend 200,000 and now we're getting 40 kilometers of drain because we're doing it on a regular basis. And then you don't have to pit neighbor against neighbor when it comes to a clean out and who's gonna force it.
Any questions?
Yep, you need a seconder.
Oh, sorry, a seconder, I apologize. Councilor Wilsey, any questions? Go with Councilor Kennis and Councilor Wilsey.
I guess a little bit of concern with this motion because it's really directing of spending of taxes. I mean, I'd feel better if we got a report from the drainage superintendent about an idea like this and how it would be implemented and the options for financing, not financing, I guess paying for a program like this.
Okay. Councilor Wilsey.
This, when we were at the drainage meeting a few weeks ago, this was kind of the idea that as farmers were asking questions and questions were being asked to staff and all the different experts we had there, this was kind of an idea that came through, is that it was up to the drainage superintendent what was regular maintenance, what people could do on their own, what the municipality could do. And then followed that up from that discussion is, I believe, where Councilor Derbyshire started talking to our drainage superintendent to see how we could do it. I think if it makes more sense, if it's more likely to get approved, I would actually like to propose a friendly amendment that we put this into the 2026 budget and let the superintendent have a line item on that to what they think is a similar number to say get it on a 5 or a 10-year schedule to clean out all the ditches, realizing it's going to be more in the short term because there are a lot of ditches that do have full-grown trees and they need full removal, and some of them need to be straightened. But some of the costs that we've heard back from farmers is the fact that ditches were not maintained for 15 or 20 years and a full-grown tree has grown up, and now we have a meandering stream instead of a straight cut, so it doesn't flow the water as good as it should. And now it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that has to be re-engineered, and there's a tree and there's a fish species and there's all sorts of things that are there that are so much more expensive than if we just would have cleaned the ditch out with the backhoe. So, if Councilor Derbyshire is open to it, I'd like to make a friendly amendment that we include it as part of the 2026 budget, and then let the discussion continue.
Would you accept that?
When we go to the budget, is that to see if it can come out of the property tax or what, just to put it in the line? Because if we're not taking it out of property taxes, then really it's being paid for by the farmer.
Yeah, no, I think it should still come out of property tax. We still need the report, but just that it's a line item of discussion during the 2026 budget. So we can talk about how much of the farm tax can go towards this.
I'd probably give him enough time to get it all put together, to be honest with you. It's a pretty big
Councillor
project.
Falkman.
My only concern is that, you know, there's a drainage act that regulates this, and I'd want to know where we come into conflict with the drainage act with a program like that. I understand the rationale and the concept behind it, but that's a pretty intensive piece of legislation that has been operating for decades. So yeah, if we are doing a report, I want that to be part of it, is where do we come into conflict and how does that open our exposure to any liability?
Councillor Derbyshire.
So I understand that, and you can put that in there too, but I'm not asking to change how we're cleaning drains. So we still have to function within all the rules. What I'm asking is that we get ourselves on a proactive schedule so that you don't have to force, it doesn't have to be one single farmer that files the petition for the whole drain. This is just it's gonna go on a 5 or an 8 year schedule, and we're just gonna clean them on a schedule, and that means you still abide by the March 15th and July 15th rules, and that if you have to include the fisheries and the conservation, all that still stays the same. It's just getting itself on a schedule where it doesn't have to be petitioned.
Councillor Palmer.
So if it's not done by petition, then you're suggesting, I'm just trying to understand, then you're suggesting that the ditch maintenance be done out of property taxes. As where right now, someone files a petition and a farmer pays a portion of it, all kinds of people pay a portion of it, sometimes municipalities come to this table. Is that correct? So you're suggesting we don't do that? Instead, with this maintenance program, it would just become a tax subsidized program?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Wilsey.
Just to clarify that, not just for Councillor Palmer's clarification, because I think that there's a bit of a disconnect there. So we're talking about just the open ditch portion of it. So when we get the drainage petition that covers changing the direction of a ditch, adding a new drain, replacing a pipe, all of those things, connecting in feed tiles, making it deeper, all of that would still be petitioned and charged to the landowners. But the regular maintenance of a ditch that's already improved and in decent condition, it just needs to have the silt removed, just like the very minor regular maintenance that would actually not have to be petitioned if our local superintendent says the work can be done. And this is my understanding from the drainage program, is there's a level of work that can be done without having to go through a petition stage, just by asking the drain superintendent if it can be done. And that is the work we'd like covered by property taxes, not the major work.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be willing to see the report. So we have a second motion with an amendment that it be for the 2026. Oh, sorry, I missed you there.
I'm gonna need that.
Yep.
I'm gonna need that read back, the actual motion, because I have a problem with this property tax clause in there. So I wanna know what the motion is.
So. Yeah, I can let the clerk read the motion.
Well, I was just gonna say, it says, I would like it to come from the property tax. So you can get it done both ways. You can do it, I mean, it's his report, how they put it forward. Remember though, the farm tax, which is just agricultural land, pays $900,000 in taxes. So just let that sink in. If we're gonna take 200,000 of it for this program, that's not all that much when you think about the barren land itself as generating $900,000.
Yeah. Jan, did you want to read the motion?
So the motion is that we ask the drainage superintendent to put together a program to have our ditches cleaned out on a schedule, and that the money to pay for this to come from farm property taxes, and it to be included in the 2026 budget.
Okay. Councillor Brad,
We're asking for a report.
we're asking for a report.
Should probably say report, not program.
Report, yeah.
Yes.
You can change that.
I think it's both. They're gonna report the program. He's gotta establish the program and how it looks.
I just want to say, when we say we ask them to put together a program and we specify it comes out of farm property tax, it sounds like we're approving the program. I would say we're asking for a report, and which will include a costing, which will come back to us for some kind of approval. We're not authorizing a program, we're authorizing a report. I just want to make clear that we're not authorizing the program
I think
at this point.
That's what
That's what it says.
Just tell me what the difference is between a report and a program. Does it, I'm not authorizing a program either. He's gonna do a report on the program he's putting together. So call it a report.
Call it a report.
If you want to change it to that, call it a report.
Did you have anything, Deputy Mayor? Okay, then I'm gonna, Councillor Kennis.
Well, then, I think that the last line in Councillor Derbyshire's motion that was presented here is really an opinion rather than a motion. So I think it should come out of the motion. If,
It's your motion, Councillor.
No, if you want me to change the wording of it, then let's have it changed to with the consideration that it come out of the farm property taxes. Does that make sense?
So, hold on, did Councillor, yeah. Did that satisfy you, Councillor Kennis?
I'd rather, I prefer something like look at options to pay for a program like this rather than specifically say, look to farm property tax. Because I'm not even sure that's a legal thing for us to do, so.
Okay. Deputy Mayor had his hand up first, Councillor Pelkman, then I'm gonna come back to you.
The way the motion is written, and I'm only talking about, I want to support it. What I can't support is that it comes from farm property taxes. It's like farmers put their money in that pot and residential puts their money in that pot. It doesn't, it all goes into one pot. And we try to do it, well, we have to do a balanced budget with it at the end of the year. To try to say, well, you put in money into the pot and you didn't get anything out of it, that's a whole nother conversation I don't want to go down the road with. So, looking at drainage and how we do it and coming up with a report that could lead to a program is great. At the end of the day, it's going to be paid by the taxpayers of Strathroy-Caradoc because there's only one pool of money.
Okay, Councillor Pelkman, and I think we've gone around on this and bring it to a vote.
Yes, thank you. I was going to make a similar comment. I think that's a very dangerous precedent to set, that we're going to target a particular stream of tax revenue for something specific. We govern for the entire municipality, not just for pieces of it at a time. So I myself, I can't support the motion the way it's written. I could support a request for a report from the drainage superintendent on the possibility of an annual maintenance program.
Okay, well, we have a second motion in front of us. I'm gonna call the vote. All in favor of the motion as it stands? Opposed, if any? Motion is defeated. Last one, Councillor Derbyshire.
We explore the cost of adding an NHL-sized pad to the existing Tri-Township arena.
Second, you have a second. Councillor Wilsey, any questions or comments? Councillor Pelkman.
Again, this is not an idea I'm opposed to. However, I think we need to look at the number of fish we have in the frying pan and go, this maybe isn't the right time to do this. Specifically thinking about the staff and the under Director Lilleborn's department, as he's now also looking after the planning department, which has some significant issues. I just don't think this is the right time to ask for this. Maybe a year from now might be a better time to ask for it. Again, not opposed to the idea, just want to make sure that our staff are allocating their resources to projects of primary importance that are unfortunately in our immediate presence.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Wilsey.
I just want to think about the Tri-Township Arena here, and whenever I've talked to the people who work there, I keep hearing about the crack that we have under the ice pad. And I'm not on the board, so I don't have a lot of details. Everything I have is secondhand on this. But if that ice pad breaks and needs to be repaired, I'm told that's going to be 6 to 8 months with no ice, so that means we're going to lose a year of ice. Also, if you look at some of the other arenas that are around, they don't have much more than what the Tri-Township Arena has. So if we're going to be spending money to design a new entranceway and update all of this, why not put it in the middle? And we could potentially for, I don't even know what the number is, I would have to get the report to find out. But for a lot less than building a new arena, we could have 2 ice pads and then be able to fix the first one. And maybe we don't need all the fancy stuff we're looking at with a gym and a second floor and a walking track. Maybe we just need something more simple to keep Mount Bridges with an arena. And then we'd have a second ice pad so that the first one could actually get repaired, so we're not worried about every year if this is the year we're gonna lose a year of ice because the ice pad cracks. That's kind of what we're thinking, is preventative and put it through. We already have the land, we could potentially put that in. We already have people who are saying there's not enough ice time. I just think it'd be a cost-efficient way. And we've been promising Mount Bridges an arena for I don't know how many years, and this would be one way to actually do it during our term.
Councillor Hippel. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw a hand there.
You did, but Donna had hers up first.
Okay, so Councillor Palmer.
So I just feel like this is a little out of the blue, considering we have an arena board that came to us with a plan, that did discussions about what's next, and had been presenting that to council to keep us in the loop, and we were heading in a direction. So I feel like this is, it's Tri-Township Arena. It's not just ours. There's other partners. And so for me to consider anything like this, I would want to see it come from the Tri-Township Board, and I would want to know what other partners are saying, and how this even becomes a feasible project. For me, this just feels like a bit of a wish list out of the blue and circumventing the board, maybe a little bit.
Hey, Councillor Hippel.
Thank you, through yourself. So we did have this conversation, and it came up in our board meeting, and the only reason I'm going to discuss this is because it's interesting. It's what Councillor Wilsey said is mostly accurate. Yes, there are issues with underneath the ice. But we're hoping. The staff is hoping that that the repairs that they make are good and they're substantial, and they're able to continue doing that when those things happen. But he is right and they are right when they say at some point repairs aren't good enough, because it's just not possible to keep repairing patches here and there. And the idea is that if something were to happen and we were to shut down and fix that whole entire area, fix the whole pad, we would be without ice, and 6 to 8 months, that's being fined. So we would lose a year, and that's pretty tough. So the reason we discussed this was because the amount of money that we're spending to upgrade and make things compliant, I think the idea was, instead of putting all that money there, perhaps we could take that money and look at an additional ice pad. Now, like Councillor Palmer said, yeah, it is a bit out of the blue, because I think we talked about it, and then I wasn't sure what we were going to do with that idea. But it's here, so maybe it's something that we, like Councillor Pelkman said, maybe it's something that we can perhaps maybe not talk about right now, but we can talk about it a little bit later. I'm not sure. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to put it out there that that's kind of why we were discussing it.
Yeah, Councillor Derbyshire.
So here's my reasoning, and I'm not trying to jump the queue or do anything different. You have A-Link already involved now, down at the Tri-Township Arena, who's going to reinvent the front. We're talking, I don't know what exactly budget we gave them for what we're going to do. if we're already engaging with A-Link was my thought, and we're going to lose this ice pad at some point, it has to be replaced. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's been on the list for now 15 years to be replaced. If this arena is to stay there 10 more years, we're hoping then that this ice pad lasts 10 more years. If it doesn't last 10 years, we lose a year of ice time down in Mount Bridges. So minor hockey done, figure skating done, find somewhere else to go. We're busy, we have to do something else. My thought was, if we look at exploring the idea of putting a bigger pad on the other side with some simple bleachers for people to watch, clear up a bit of our entry problem so that we come in on the level with the proper doors. We don't build a great big vestibule or have to put a lift. Maybe for the 3 to 4 million we were going to spend on the front, if we can do it for 8 to 10 and have a secondary pad that we now know that if this one goes down, when it goes down, we still have ice in Mount Bridges for those teams. That was where my thought process went. You can also send this back to Tri-Township Board and say, use A-Link and do whatever you want with it. I just didn't know last time you guys had, or the council had a arena committee. So I don't ever know where to take stuff or put stuff, because there's no rhyme or reason to how this gets done. If I just said, oh, if the board just started to do this and brought it forward, people would say, well, the board wasn't authorized to build a size pad, right? I bring it here and it's like, well, are you jumping the board? It's like, no, I'm just bringing it forward for conversation and discussion. So, but the discussion is, at some point or another, you're gonna have to redo that pad, and you can either lose all your ice for a year, or we could possibly look at a solution.
Yeah, go to Councillor Kenneth and Councillor Palmer.
I guess just a little bit confused here, because I think for most of us, when we last left this topic, we went from the new arena was off the table because it was gonna cost like $23 million or something like that. Go back to Tri-Township Arena, see what you can come up with the renovation. We haven't heard back, as I can recall, from anybody at this point yet. And now we get a suggestion that we look at perhaps a new twin pad facility there. So
Just adding on, Frank, it's not a whole new pad.
no, it's still a big, it's still a big deal. I mean, we haven't looked at anything. And we haven't heard from the Tri-Township Board on where they're at this point either. So I guess I don't understand where we're at this point. So.
I'm gonna, Councillor Palmer, no, Deputy Mayor, and then I'll say mine, I'll bring a vote.
I am a member on TTA, so as an update, we had our first board meeting, or a board meeting, where are we here, earlier this month. Mike Holt from A-Link was there, first time we've engaged with him, and ran through some ideas with him. This was not one of them, because we were tasked with making Tri-Township better than what it is. And there's lots of conversation going on. As we know from doing other projects, that's going to lead to some ideas. And then you start off on the costings, right? So right now, all we've done is engaged with them. We don't have a budget. There's just money on a line item in our current budget. I think, if I remember, Director Dakin said there was $400,000. So we're pulling a little bit of that money off right now to engage with A-Link, to get some ideas, what will work, what won't work, what's his best suggestions, come back, formulate what we think we should offer, and come back and say, okay, here's what we think we should do, and we proceed to a Class C costing is the lowest, isn't it? We go Class C costing, Class A, and then, or Class B, and then Class A? Yeah, okay, so that's how that would work. We'll get some thoughts, we'll come back, we'll roll it out, work it through, and then say, do we have money to move to a Class C costing? Just like we did with the police station, yes or no. If you say no, we're done. If you say yes, we'll move to a Class C costing, work that up, come back again to council, here's where we are. Can we move to a Class B costing after it's been refined? That's the process. We've been asked to try to keep this place going. Any ice pad can go down at any time. The older they get, I guess the more likelihood. Any ice pad can break at any point in time. And there are ways to repair it and get back running for the season, and then it's just in the off season, how does that look to try to get it back together? And who knows when you're dealing with old buildings.
Councillor Pelkman and Councillor Derbyshire for the last word, then we'll bring it to a vote. We spent a lot of time. Yeah, go ahead.
So again, I don't, the idea in itself, again, is not so bad. However, if I think back to 1998, and we were looking at building a pad beside West Middlesex to create a second ice pad in Strathroy, it was cheaper to build Gemini with 2 pads than it was to add 1 pad beside West Middlesex. And the reason for that is everything is geared for entrance on one side of an arena. And all the mechanical and all that other stuff is on the other side. So when you try to reverse it, which you would have to do if you were adding a second pad to the same building, your traffic flow has to change, which means it's in the way of all the existing mechanical. So your existing mechanical has to move. It's more complicated than you think it would be by just saying, yeah, we got a piece of land there and we could build a second pad. It would be cheaper to build a second ice rink right beside Tri-Township than it would be to try to join them to
Councillor Derbyshire, last word, and we're gonna vote on it.
So the Southwest Middlesex Arena has a road, which means you can't build out that way. So I do agree with you have to move everything because everything is situated on only one side. You can go either way you want out this arena. To me, all I'm saying is you want to spend $3 to $4 million to make this thing look nice and pretty, and then in 3 years tell the people, oh, we're ripping up the ice pad and you got to go somewhere else for at least 6 months of your hockey. Go right ahead, make that decision. All I was trying to put out there was to see what it would cost to put another pad there. You don't have to pick it. Just see what the cost is. Maybe it looks a little bit different in the daylight, and we say, you know what, maybe this is the best decision because this allows this arena to stay functional now for the next 30 or 40 years. But by all means, vote her down, that's fine. I'm just asking to simply look at costing of what that pad would be. We're already engaged with A-Link.
So a second motion in front of you. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion is defeated. Move on to communications. There are 2 communications in front of you. The first is Middlesex Hospital Alliance, a diabetes education program. The request to waive the downtown market fees. We can either approve or deny. Did anyone have any comments, questions on the motion? Councillor Brennan.
I would say we should deny this for the same reason we denied others. You know, you do it for one, you do it for all. Thank you.
Okay. So is that your motion, Councillor?
Well, I don't want to shut down debate.
Okay,
I'm just, but yeah, we'll wait on that. But
okay. Councillor Hippel.
Through yourself, I understand that, and I was what Councillor Brennan was saying, and we have been denying, and I understand that, and it makes sense. For me, the difference for this one is health. It's it's diabetes education. They're providing free blood glucose screening and education for people that are down there. We are struggling. Our not just our community, but so many different communities, you know, can they get into the hospital? Can they get into doctors? People don't have doctors. So to be able to come down to the market when they're just walking around with their family and to get free blood glucose screening, well, how fantastic is that? I mean, how hard would that be? Like, we're talking about people's health. I just think this makes sense, but that's just my thought.
Any other comments? Councillor Pammer and then Councillor Pelkman.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Brennan. There's been lots of great causes and lots of great not-for-profits that have come forward and asked to have their fees waived at the market. Just a reminder that the market provides a lower fee for not-for-profits, and they're asking here for 2 dates, which according to what I could find, that's $60 they'd be paying to the market. I don't think that's going to prohibit them for their activities at $30 for 2 each.
Okay, Councillor Pelkman.
yes, thank you. The reason I'm in favor of denying is there is a cost to developing the exact thing that they're looking for, which is the collection of people in a public place. And if we don't collect the fees for the cost it takes to get those people down there, then those people aren't there for them to have something that they want to do in the first place. I did, in my own work, arrange for a partner with a local pharmacy to do the same thing, and found some very willing partners. So if they really want to do the program in a different way, they can. But there is a cost to having the market exist. And I think everybody who wants to take advantage of the crowds that come down there need to help assist in the payment of those costs.
Councilor Derbyshire.
Thanks. I don't think we should pay their fees, but I will pay their fees. So I will cover their 2-night cost at my expense. That'll be my donation to them.
That's a side conversation. Okay, someone to bring a motion. Okay, Councilor Brennan.
Bring the motion that the request be denied.
Second, Councilor Palmer. All in favor of the motion to deny? The motion is approved to deny. Next is application for temporary noise exemption, the Rocking Wheel at Lions Park Drive. The motion is the application for temporary noise exemption for Rocking Wheel Lions Park be approved. Someone to bring a motion. Councilor Kennis, need a seconder. Councilor Hippel, any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Reports from departments. First, building and planning. The first is 610 Head Street, the planning evaluation report. Mr. Williams, do you wish to speak to the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. As noted, this is at 610 Head Street. This is at the corner of Head Street and 2nd Street. It is an application for a hold removal and exemption from condominium, full condominium application. So this is, as you see on the screen, the yellow portion or the L-shaped portion of a property that came forward with a rezoning application, consent application at one time, a site plan approval, and at the very corner would be 2 commercial buildings. That is not a part of this application tonight, but tonight is the yellow portion, which is the townhouse portion. And what they're seeking is removal of the hold, and the hold was related to 2 items. One, getting site plan approval resolved, which they've done, and in the process of doing that site plan approval had a traffic study completed, which was done to the satisfaction of municipal staff. So the hold removal could move forward as a result of those 2 criteria being addressed. The condo exemption is a process that's a part of the condominium, the Planning Act and the sections relating to a condominium. When an application has already been through a rezoning process, a public meeting process, the applicants can ask for an exemption from going through the full condominium process, and then they're permitted to go through a expedited process. That expedited process means an application is made to the county, which has happened. The question is posed to local council here tonight. Are you okay with it moving forward as an exemption? The answer would be presumably yes, or that's our recommendation nonetheless to you. And then you would take that, we would then have that forwarded to county staff, and then they would process the exemption. So that's just a little bit of process discussion and also where we're at with this one. If we move through this just shows the proposal on the plan, showing those townhouses, if you remember it from the past. It's a common driveway with an access from Head Street as well as one on 2nd Street. The part that's being constructed, in fact, if you were to go up there now, some of the site servicing is occurring, which is totally within the expected process. They've done the detailed engineering, and as I say, the site plan approval has been granted, and so that's the next step, is the servicing. You wouldn't see any completed buildings yet because they need to have that condominium exemption sorted out. And so the timing is working out so that this would be townhouses that you would see occupied late the summer sort of situation. So you'll see buildings going up in the next little bit. But they want to make sure that they're 100% clear of that condominium exemption before they start into that. I would note, if we can just move a couple of slides, I think, to, yeah, this one, the consultation. I'll just note that there was no concerns raised by any staff, including the Conservation Authority. Where it says there, public comments, none. There was a comment that I received over the weekend about a fence that is a little bit wobbly, we'll call it, and I've had a conversation today with the developer to have that addressed. So it isn't really about this particular items that are before us tonight, but I have heard that they're going to look at what's caused the reason for it to be, that fence to be wobbly, and then work out a solution with that particular owner. So we're working on that piece, but they did provide us comments under the title of this particular application, so I raise it only to have a complete file in front of you. And so we come to recommendations, which are for the recommendations are listed in the report, but also just simply to have the hold removed, and then there's a bylaw that would be in front of you during the bylaws, consideration of bylaws section of the agenda, and then also the exemption to the condominium. I'm available for comments, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Pelkman.
Just my only question, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to make it crystal clear, is a condominium comes with a certain element of control of the landscaping of the property. So by getting an exemption, it is still going to be a condominium project and not easier for them to back out of that.
Yep. What I would say is there's two parts to that. The exemption does not exempt them from having an agreement, and so there will be, that is part of this process. A shorter agreement, very short agreement, will be entered into between the municipality and the owner. There's already a site plan agreement, and that's handling a number of those things that one might be concerned about: landscaping, grading, et cetera, et cetera. But the two talk to each other. Two agreements will talk amongst each other. There are other situations where we've done them combined, one on top, or one in one agreement, but the timing worked out this way for this particular one, and rather than slow something down, we kind of headed forward in a positive way this way.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, there are 5 motions in front of you. First, that we received a report for information. Second, that the application for the removal of the holding be approved. Third, that the bylaw be referred to the consideration of bylaws section. And also the council pass a resolution in support of the requested exemption from the condominium approval process. And lastly, that the clerk forward the resolution to Middlesex County Council for consideration of the exemption request. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelkman. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I'm going to do this because we do have someone in the audience tonight who a little hard of hearing, so I hope you can hear me back there now. We're going to try. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So hopefully you hear everything. So now we're going to move to the next item, which is the Adelaide Road Evaluation Report. I'm going to ask Mr. Williams if you could just speak up a little bit for the lady in the audience, and hopefully you can hear us, ma'am. So overview of the report, Tim.
Yeah, I may speak a little slower as well. So this is an application, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. This is an application.
Can you hear okay, ma'am?
No, I can't hear him.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Well, he has to have.
Can you take that, yeah? Just put that, I'm just gonna really help this lady out, because we all may need hearing one day. Yep.
I'm just going to excuse myself for 2 minutes for
You
a
may.
break.
There you are.
Trying to be cautious with it so it doesn't make a lot of noise.
You just put that on your lapel, Tim, for us, so
Okay.
she can hear. Thank you. I made a promise, so try to keep it.
Can you hear me okay? Is that still
No,
no?
I hear you.
Okay, okay. So I'll start at the beginning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is an application for hold removal on a property at 22182 Adelaide Road. It is a redevelopment of a property that with townhouses. It'll be a rental property, so different than the previous application that was asking for a condominium exemption. This one has received the site plan approval and addressed stormwater management appropriately, and so a hold could be removed. If we move to this drawing, you'll see this is the southern portion of Mount Bridges. This is not changing lot lines, it's not changing the development in any way, only removing the hold as a result of, one, the site plan approval, and two, the stormwater management being addressed in a manner. The way that they've done that is to phase the development. So they're doing a half portion now of the development, or a little bit more than half, and doing a temporary stormwater management pond. And then at the time where Park House is rebuilt with services running out to Rougham, they will connect into that, and the stormwater runoff outlet from this property will head using those services. Well, the stormwater service. So if I just maybe move to the next drawing, this just shows the build-out version of the plan, where the area where the townhouses are closest to Adelaide in a smaller grouping there, those would be where a temporary stormwater management facility will be roughly. So moving to the next consultation, there were no members of staff or agencies that had concerns with the application. There was a public comment about a lot line, and this is a common lot line between this property and the property. Would you mind just slipping back to the location map? So this would be the one on the right-hand side, the long lot line that runs from Allen Road and backward from there. It's an interior lot line, so not the one adjacent to Adelaide Road, but on the right-hand side there. And so there's some discussion with some of the interested parties to that were interested to know about the property line and the details. So I discussed that detail with those members of the public. They wrote in a document just speaking to that aspect of things, and the process and the details surrounding that particular lot line. But again, we're not here to discuss necessarily that lot line, and in fact, that zone line isn't necessarily on it's on the property line as it stands, but whether the lot line is there or not, we're talking about a zone line rather than a lot line. So I would leave it at that, I guess, but to say that it's staff's recommendation that this be moved forward because it's considered consistent with all of the policies in play for a hold removal. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from any members of council? Councilor Derbyshire.
Sorry, thank you. I know we've seen this once before, and maybe it was already approved before. I just, with the one entrance, and I see there is a fire route, but I don't really see a turnaround or. I'm just asking about the fire route and the fire lanes.
That's about as best as we can do, so, yep. Go ahead, Councilor.
I'll repeat the question if you ask
Okay.
it.
I was just asking, I don't see there's an out with a two-way exit. When it comes to the emergency services, are we happy with the design here? I'm assuming there's going to be fire hydrants somewhere with inside, they'll be on water. But like, is this able to accommodate, I guess, the fire service if there were to be an incident?
Okay, so your question was about fire access points, and some of the more recent policies that we have about having 2 access points, and related to that, hydrants. I think I've summarized it enough that I can answer it to that point. So one point or part of this is that the approach for the fire department would be to attack it from Adelaide Road, so on the shoulder. They would then travel toward any of those buildings, and they've got a long frontage there. Also, as you noted very well, the access point off of Allen Road, there isn't services proposed underneath the same way as other developments might have found, because we have sanitary services off of Adelaide Road. We have water service off of Adelaide Road as well, and as I was mentioning before, the stormwater management is also going to run up that way. So that road might need to be re-asphalted at some point, but it would never need to be dug up completely so that services could be reached underneath it. So we don't have the same level of risk on that front. But as I say, all of those things occurred. And then one other piece from a policy perspective is that the policy about the 2 access points came in approximately 2023, and this was something that was approved prior to that. There has been a lot of time where this particular applicant was waiting to see if it would be possible to have the development done as a single phase and not do the stormwater management pond in the interim, from a cost perspective, obviously, but at a certain point needed to move forward with the application. So we came up with this idea to do it in a phased approach so that they can get buildings on the ground.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Deputy Mayor.
I'll move the 3 motions being recommended by staff.
Okay, there are 3 motions. You seconded that? Okay, all in favor of the 3 motions? Opposed, if any, carried. Councillor Brennan, I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience, folks. Appreciate it. Yep. You're welcome. Next is the report on 360 Carroll Street East, information report. Mr. Williams, speak to this report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We'll start with possibly speaking to the nature of the application. This is a plan of subdivision as well as a rezoning application. So something that staff brought forward to a public meeting in the end of the fall of 2024. You may remember this. You may remember this from that time, but essentially there were a few items that needed to be addressed as a result of that public meeting. Staff went back to the applicant and worked through some of those things. One of the items related to the height of the proposal for the high density portion. We drilled down with them. While they didn't have a specific proposal or building in mind, they are looking for a 6-story building, which can be accommodated within a 20-meter height. So they changed the height request from 25 to 20 meters in height. And the other part that we were looking at is that there's a single detached dwelling directly to, I'll call it the right-hand side or east side. If this was a north-south plan, it's not exactly that. So because there's a single detached dwelling there, as the height increases, it would have a greater impact on that lot. And so what we've done in the zoning is recommended a graduating increase in the setback as the height goes up. So at 15 meters, the setback would be 15, and then as you go up 1 meter higher over and over and over up to the 20, now it's set back an additional 5 meters. So if they go up to 18, then it would be an 18-meter setback. So all of those pieces are together in front of you. It also includes the townhouses to the south, a stormwater management pond that's separate from the parkland. The parkland is set up so that there would be a possibility for a connection to the parcel to the, we'll call it west, but to the left. There were comments in the past about how Carroll will work. This is a redevelopment plan that's going to require combination of commitments from this developer and the developer on the north side, as well as the county. It's a county road, and there will be some infrastructure that is local, like Strathroy-Caradoc. And so all of those pieces will come together. There are conditions that are being proposed in this report that will address all of those pieces, and we will address it in greater detail in a plan of a subdivision agreement that would also come forward to you in the future. But this is step one, and we'll work from there. There's a number of details in terms of policy analysis and whatnot, and I could go through it, but I will say that staff are recommending approval of this application for rezoning, and then recommending the conditions be endorsed by this council, and then it would move up to county council from there.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions? Councillor Brennan.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'm looking at the overall aerial view, and I'm taking a look at where Willis Avenue on the other side of Carroll Street East comes out, and I think that white block on the other side, I think is that the road that's going to be coming out? I'm just noticing, is there any way that that intersection could have those two roads meeting each other square on to make a more rational intersection? They're kind of offset. From my view anyway, unless I'm misinterpreting it, but is that white little box, is that a road?
Through the mayor to Councillor Brennan, the white box is what we're calling a future development zone. So there's this sliver of land that's owned by the developer that doesn't fit exactly in the plan. So if there was future development to the west of here, this sliver could be included. So let me rephrase my answer by saying Street A lines up perfectly with Willis.
It does, okay.
And then what you're seeing there is a zone category that covers a little bit of that future development, as well as zone categories always go to the center of a road. So you're 100% right. If we were showing the white box as being, it's not centered.
Just trying to clarify.
It only goes to the middle of a road. So if you've got a zone category of commercial on one side of the road and residential on the other, the middle of the road is where that zone category always ends. And that's what we're seeing here, is that the future development kind of comes to the middle of the road.
So those two roads line up exactly. It's just a little bit confusing. I just want to make sure that they line up exactly. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Pelkman.
Yes, thank you. I do remember reading in the report through the mayor to the planner that the stormwater was going to go through the subdivision and behind. The sewer, does it come down Carroll Street, or is it also run a different direction? And what does that mean for our own planning for installing services if it comes down Carroll Street?
Through the mayor to Councillor Pelkman, that's a good one, because we're leaving ourselves open to two different options. Carroll Street potentially, but also looking at Willis and then up through Abbott and connecting through that way. So that may very well be the way it ends up going. It does seem like the subdivision to the north, you'll remember a rezoning application recently moving forward up there. And so possibly those two things may happen at the same time, and we'll have a synergy there. If not, then we would look at something along Carroll. So, and that would require the road being upgraded as well. So it's one or the other, whichever happens first. We're trying, again, to find the fastest route possible.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the Director, Manager, Tim, to you. So I know on other developments that we've looked along Carroll Street, there were requirements for right-hand slip lanes and left-hand turn lanes being added for the development to move forward. They were further to the west. Is that being proposed at these developments to the east? Or do you think at some point in time, Carroll Street being a county road is going to just be redeveloped and all of that will be incorporated in? Or are we at that stage that that's even being considered?
Through the mayor to the deputy mayor, there is a plan that involves the reconstruction of Carroll Street. If the pipes run from this development through Willis and out to the stormwater management, or even for the sanitary to run, the Carroll Street needs to come up a little bit higher. And so there will be a need to reconstruct, and there will be either slip around lanes, but more likely this will be an intersection with the left-hand turn to deal with Willis as well as to this way. So to have a slip around there only might not work, and I kind of glazed over it very quickly, but we're talking about a cost-sharing agreement between a number of developers. Maybe we're talking about 4 people here, maybe we're talking about 5, but that's the kind of lay of the land.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, there are 4 motions in front of you. One, that we receive the report, some that the subdivision be approved in principle and forwarded to the County of Middlesex. Second, the rezoning application be approved, further that the bylaw be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda. Some deputy mayor, second by Councillor Falkman. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Engineering is awarding of the 2025 tar and chip tender. Director Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair. The report in front of you is to approve the award of a contract in the amount of $720,847 to Cornell Construction Limited to complete tar and chip resurfacing on roads approved by council at the March 3rd council meeting. 2 bids were received, with Cornell being the lowest. Cornell is a well-established general contractor in the road reconstruction industry. They've been in operation for about 90 years. The cost includes $140,000 of additional program costs. Sorry, including approximately $140,000 of additional program costs. This does fall within the approved 2025 capital budget line item, leaving about $54,000 for spot repairs throughout the municipality. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Director Ortiz? Okay. Councilor Derbyshire.
I just have one, I could be mistaken. I thought last year we went with the Middlesex County.
Middlesex Center.
It was the Middlesex Center, because we could get volume discount and make our money go farther. Was that not an option, or no, through you to the director?
It was an option we looked at. I don't think they had the available capacity this year to take on the work that we were doing, so we had an open tender.
Any other? Councillor Wilsey.
Just on the part about the spot repairs, don't see either Park House or Mill Road on this, and both of them were reduced basically to gravel about a month or so ago. Are these sections of roads worse than the area of Mill, or should we be Mill and Park House, or should we be looking at those repairs instead of these ones?
So the $54,000 is a blanket, that's what we have available for spot repairs throughout the municipality. So we're awarding the contract to Cornell for the tar and chip. That leaves us with a bucket of money that we can use for spot repairs throughout, including Park House Drive and Mill Road.
Questions? Okay, there are 2 motions in front of you. We receive the report, and second, that we approve the 2025 tar and chip program to Cornell Construction Limited for the amount of $720,847.50 plus HST. So Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Director Ortiz, the Public Works Plow Truck Award.
Thank you. Through the chair, this report is to approve the award of a contract in the amount of $362,430 to Viking Sibs Limited for the purchase of a 2026 Freightliner snowplow truck. The municipal fleet includes 10 plow trucks with a targeted replacement cycle of about 10 years, so about one new truck per year. The Freightliner is recommended based on standardizing with our existing fleet as we transition fully to the Freightliner specification. So standardization helps ensure better availability of parts, reduces repair times, and improves operator effectiveness and efficiency. So with a 12-month lead time, we're looking at having this truck available for the winter of 2026. As with many of our purchases, we took advantage of cooperative purchasing through Sourcewell. And Viking Sieves is located in Mount Forest, so this procurement does support local community and economic growth. And this does fall within the approved 2025 capital budget line item.
Any questions of the director? Okay. Seeing none, there are two motions. One that we receive the report. Second is the council approve the sole source purchase of a 2026 Freightliner single axle plow truck for $362,000 and $430, excuse me, plus HST from Viking Sieves Limited. Someone bring the motion. Councillor Hippel, second by Councillor Palmer. All in favor? Carried. Begin, Mark.
Yeah, I've got a few today. So this report in front of you is to approve the award for construction of the fourth concession drain to McNally Excavating in the amount of $232,800. This follows a request for major drain improvement received in May 2024. We appointed Spreet Associates Limited to complete the engineering design. We had statutory meetings in February and March of 2025. We've received no appeals to date. We received a total of 5 bids, and McNally were the lowest bid. Of the total construction cost, the municipality's assessment will be about $50,600. Project costs are going to have to be financed through reserves, with the balance to be recouped from landowners at the end of the warranty after 1 year. I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, two motions are to receive the report. Second, the council award the fourth concession drain project to McNally Excavating the amount of $232,800, excluding HST. Someone from Councillor Pelkman, second by Councillor Kenneth. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Director Ortiz, the grader.
Thank you. So this report follows council instruction on March the 3rd to provide a report on the Humphrey drain and implications for the municipality to sign up a request for major drain improvement.
Are we under the grader report?
Oh, the grader? Did I
we
skip
need
one?
The grader. Skip the grader.
Okay, so I'm on the grader. I missed one. Okay. Give me one moment. Had everything lined up for the next report. So,
okay, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Okay, so this should be straightforward anyway. So thank you to start again. So the report in front of you here is to award the purchase of a 2025 CAT grader for the amount of $673,870 from Tormont. This is a grader we use for a number of things in the municipality, including gravel roads, parking lots, snow plowing. Tormont is a 100% Canadian-owned company, employing 7,000 employees from Ontario. So this purchase does support local economy and local communities. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Councillor Derbyshire.
Yeah, I guess I more look at it as how many gravel roads do we have? And what is it says we currently have 2 graders. So I just wonder what's the age of the other grader, and you know, I mean, for $600,000 or almost $700,000, that's an awful lot of money for back roads that we are now trying to process and possibly switch to chip and tar. So that's a pretty big expense for something we might not have a whole lot of in the future.
Director Ortiz.
Thank you. Through the chair, the existing grader, I'm not sure of the age exactly, but it is, there's not much useful life in that grader to date. We are offered a trade-in value of, 2022, 2002 Volvo. So we have a $27,000 trade-in value. We have gravel roads that we need to maintain. It's an expense that we will have to undertake in the near future if we want to continue maintaining our gravel roads.
Any other? Yeah, go ahead, Councilor.
No, I understood what that grader was. I was asking what's the year of the other grader? It says we have 2 in the fleet, and where are we kind of at with the other grader?
Thought I heard 2000 and 201, but if you can.
No, that's this one that we're replacing.
Right.
It says we have 2 graders.
I'd have to get back to you on the other grader date, or the date of the manufacture of the other grader. This is to replace the one from 2002.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing no further questions, there are 2 motions. One is that you receive the report. Second is the council approves the purchase of a 2025 CAT grader for $673,870 plus HST from Toromont. So I'm going to bring those motions. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Felkman. All in favor?
Hold on. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, yep.
How many graders do we have in our fleet? Maybe that's a good question.
Through the chair, I thought we had 1 grader. I know the report says 2 here. We have 1 functional full grader for tar, like that we use for tar and chip, and then we have another one which is smaller, but I don't think we are able to use it for gravel roads.
No. Thanks. We voted on the motion. It carried.
We didn't vote on the motion. No. You had it first and seconded, and then I asked a question.
No, I brought the motion. Right?
Yeah, you got it first and second.
First and second, okay, sorry, I thought we voted. All in favor of the motion?
Can I just make one more statement though?
Yeah, go ahead for it, Councilor.
How about we find out how many road graders we have before we go buy another one? Like, I mean, if the other one's, a 2013 and is fully capable of doing the job, I don't know, do whatever.
Next is a report on the request for major drain improvement.
Do you want to vote on that one?
We voted on the motion in front of us. We voted on the 2 motions in front of us.
All right.
The request for the major drain improvement, Director Ortiz.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair. So this report is following council instruction on March the 3rd to provide a report on the Humphrey drain and implications for the municipality to sign a request for major drain improvement. So the Humphrey drain currently discharges to Trout Creek near Scotchmere Drive, where it continues as a natural watercourse to its ultimate discharge point at the Sydenham River. Some landowners have associated a number of issues with Trout Creek, including seasonal flooding, beaver dams, erosion, and dead trees, which all affect upstream landowners. As Trout Creek currently falls within private property, private landowners are responsible for maintaining it, and we do not have the legal authority to access or conducting a maintenance. So by signing a request for drain improvement, the municipality would be initiating the process to convert Trout Creek to a municipal drain, enabling us to conduct maintenance on behalf of the watershed. Any landowner within the watershed has the right to submit a request for drain improvement, and the same process would be initiated. The main difference is the party who submits the request for drain improvement is required to pay for the engineering costs associated with the work. And they may only be reimbursed if and when construction is completed. So if that work does not happen, the party that submits the request may have to cover those costs. Municipalities do have the authority to request drain improvement under the Section 78, and we would typically do so if we do have poor drainage affecting public infrastructure like roads and parkland. The cost to complete preliminary public consultation to determine the full scope of work and to develop a high-level conceptual design is going to be about $5,000 to $10,000. After completion of conceptual design, we'd have a better understanding of the full scope of design and the approximate construction costs. These costs could vary greatly depending on the work that needs to be done and the limit of construction. So detailed design could range from $10,000 to $75,000, and construction could range anywhere from $20,000 to $400,000 or more depending on the full scope and the limits of construction. So the municipality would have an off-ramp to after the completion of conceptual design, where it would meet with the public and decide whether to proceed with detailed design or not. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? We're just receiving this report for information, but as of now, any questions on the report? Councillor Falcon, then Councillor Derbyshire.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, you brought forward the motion. How many of the landowners were, because I know you did this out of discussions you had with people who were affected by the watershed. Just in anticipation, do you expect that many of the landowners would be in favor of this or opposed to this? Or do you know?
The landowners that I spoke to are in favor of it. I was under the understanding that it wasn't anyone in the watershed that could make it. It had to be one of the properties that were part of Trout Creek, not part of the drain, because you're asking it to become a drain. I could be wrong here. I think this is why there's actually only about 3 people right at the initial outlet, with the rest of them being up, that could make that request. But if it doesn't go through and anyone downstream can make this request to convert it to a drain, then I'm sure we'll find somebody that would gladly do it. The whole thing here, I didn't think it was just back for information. I thought we were asking about the costing, what the cost of it was, and then the motion would either proceed forward or be voted down. But if all we're doing now is getting, whether we like that it's $5,000 to $10,000 for us to pay, and that's just received for information, then this is almost pointless at this point. We're going to be another 3 months before we get anything even remotely going here.
Councillor, that's just the motion in front of us. Any councillor, you can make any motion or amendment if you wish after you receive it. So, any other comments or questions? Councillor Pelkman.
Just so I'm clear on the process, that engineer's report for $5,000 to $10,000 would include what property owners are affected and how much water that's put into the watershed from all those property owners. Is that what exactly would that $5,000 to $10,000 get us?
Through the chair, that would be a high-level conceptual design of what solution would address the issues. So a public consultation with the landowners that are affected, get an idea of what the issues are and what would need to be done in order to address that. It would not be a full engineer's report with the total costing and the allocation of costs. That would come at a future point during after the detailed design. This would be a high level.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Through you to the director. So at this point, if we approve the $5,000 to $10,000, you would then meet with the public, meet with the fisheries, meet with the Conservation Authority, and find out whether whether any of them have any appetite for this going forward. If we are blocked right there, then obviously we wouldn't be spending the next $40,000 to $50,000 to get a better idea of which would then be split amongst the watershed. Everything going forward past the initial $5,000 to $10,000 is split amongst the watershed. Am I correct in that?
So you're correct in the first part, where $5,000 to $10,000 would allow us to conduct that engagement with the public and identify what the issues are. The problem is we don't know what the issues are with the creek. It could be something as simple as removing a beaver dam, or something as complex as a full reconstruction with, bank restoration, we're talking a different scale of construction. So that initial conceptual design would help us identify what the issue is, and then approximately what the cost would be to design and construct it. The detailed design, if we chose to continue at that time, that detailed design would be a cost that would be distributed amongst the entire watershed based on the benefit that they derive from the work, assuming that the work goes on. So if the Conservation Authority or Ministry at some point in time put an end to the project, it would be sunk costs. But hopefully at the initial stage, we'd have an idea of, like you said, the appetite for this kind of work.
Is there a motion in there, Councillor Derbyshire?
I don't know. I don't think it's up to me to put it forward. I'll probably word it wrong and it'll get changed. So, but I mean, to me, what I would like to see is us move forward with this project, being that it's $5,000 to $10,000 if it gets turned down. If it doesn't get turned down, it gets split amongst it will get incorporated into the watershed at that point, right? And everyone would pay a portion of it if the project proceeds forward.
Deputy Mayor.
Two questions, a comment and a question. Question first to the director. $10,000, do we have that in a reserve fund or in a fund that we could use to start that investigative process?
I'm going to look toward the Director of Finance as well. I suspect yes, but I might ask the Director of Finance if he can get more.
Through the chair to the deputy mayor, there is funds in reserve. Are those reserves specifically set up for something like this? There is a drainage reserve which we could probably use. I think it's about 250,000 in that one. The other option would be to just take it through the operating budget as consulting.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll make a motion then that we proceed with, I just want to get my language here. We proceed with engagement of the community and trying to think of other related groups like MNR. Somebody help me with the language. I want those outside groups.
Conservation, the fishery.
Yeah.
Agencies.
Agencies.
All relevant.
With other agencies.
All relevant authorities.
Thank you. Thank you. To a maximum of $10,000.
Are you seconding that, Councillor Wilsey?
Yeah, I'll second that. And just to make a comment, when we look at the map of that, the upgrade that we have just done, that we've approved the subdivision to drain all the water through that goes through past the Canadian Tire, actually drains into this creek as well. So all of the new subdivisions and the things we're looking at now where the stormwater from Collins Way is all being diverted through, it all discharges into this creek. So I think it's in our best interest to look at that as well.
Okay, you have a seconded motion. Councillor Pelkman, comment before we bring it
Yeah, just, I'm in favor of the motion. I'm not worried about that. I just want to point out, and I would hope it would be considered, most of this creek goes through a forested area where water is traditionally held back, but there is a short portion of it that goes through a trailer park. And so we just want to make sure that we don't accidentally cause a different problem to one of the property owners. I just want to make sure that we consider that piece as we go through this report, because it's a very different concept. And I somewhat in my comments to later, I'm going to ask that Councillor Derbyshire bring back his motion about the drainage stuff, because there's two thoughts to how you deal with water. When I was in Europe and Holland, their idea is get the water through here and out as fast as possible. And here it's all about holding it back and keeping it in floodplain areas. And, I sometimes disagree with the way we do it. But this would be one area where we may accidentally cause a problem by having the water flow through quicker.
Okay. Have a second and motion in front of you. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any, that motion carries. Director Ortiz, the Queen Street Phase 2, the micro tunneling change order.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so the next report in front of you is to approve the award of a change order in the amount of $1.1 million to Burnham Construction to complete the rail crossing at Queen Street through method of microtunneling. We have a Burnham Construction working with us on the Phase 2 of that Queen Street project, and we are rapidly approaching the time where we need to cross the railway tracks. The design originally called for pipe ramming of the CN rail, a construction method that can result in higher impacts to surface infrastructure, so roads and railway. Microtunneling is a well-established, safe method to reduce impact to the surface level infrastructure, including roads and railways. So this change order follows additional geotechnical review and a requirement from CN Rail to complete the crossing via microtunneling. We've previously approved $1 million in the 2025 capital budget in anticipation of this change order, and we will require an additional $101,000 to be funded through reserves. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So just for clarity, the change is for $101,278, correct? The initial $1 million was allocated?
Yeah, okay. Through the chair, to be clear, the change order is $1.1 million of additional cost. Of that, $1 million had been budgeted for already in 2025.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Wilsey.
Through the chair to the director, how close are we to finishing this project? And if this was unexpected, what were the previously unexpected costs? And are there any more change orders we should expect before the end of this project that will push us further over budget?
Yeah, clerk just corrected me on something I did wrong. Sorry, I need to bring the motions to the floor first, then the discussion. That's my bad. I do apologize, council. So there are two motions. The council received the report, and the council approves $1,101,278.17 plus HST to proceed with the micro tunneling. My apologies. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Palmer. Now the question. I apologize, Greg.
So through the chair to the director, how close are we to finishing this project? And are there any other costs that you anticipate we might have to do that will take us further over budget than this one?
Through the chair, we are, as you probably tell, we're in the middle of construction on that second phase south of Metcalfe. We will be completed construction later this year. There's still a lot of work to be done. The microtunneling by far will be the biggest risk going forward. I can't guarantee that there won't be additional changes or unknowns that we hit between now and the end of the project, but this is by far the largest portion for sure. On the previous phase, we had been pretty good on maintaining costs, and I expect other than this, we should be okay going forward.
Questions? Seeing none, vote on the two motions in front of you.
No, I'm good.
All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Deputy Mayor, County Council highlights from the April 8th meeting.
Yes, usually for the last couple of meetings, I haven't been speaking too much about it, but there's the document that is attached from April 8th. What I did want to give an update on this evening, Your Worship, is the meeting that we had today at County Council, because there's some really important stuff here that I think the public's going to want to know. I think our councillors are going to want to know this. I'll start off with homelessness prevention. In the budget for 25-26 is for the programming is $1.15 million, which is an increase of $104,000 over last year. This has been submitted to the City of London. They are our service system manager that has been designated by the province, so they will review it, approve it, or they will review it for approval and then submit it to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. So part of this money goes for that Countryside Motel. I think most councillors are familiar with it. People in our community are certainly familiar with it. The numbers there, they assisted in giving temporary shelter and support to 77 individuals last year, 62 families, which included 15 dependent children. On our executive recruitment, so we are recruiting for a new CAO. We are going to use Waterhouse Executive Search out of Toronto. We budgeted $27,000 to have them lead us in that process. Related to a topic we had spoke about earlier, natural assessment management plan. So this is the county forest, about 25,000 acres of forests in Middlesex County, involving stuff like, so during what they're going to be looking at is stormwater management, soil conservation, air quality, wildlife, and then recreation and tourism. This is going to be a 20-year plan being put together. There are about 27 tracts of forest. Some of them you will be familiar with just living in the area, the Dorchester Swamp, Skunk's Misery, Bothwell Forest, which happens to be one of the largest continuous forest blocks in southwestern Ontario. What they are doing is hiring 16 part-time workers to go out and gather the data this summer, and $25,000 has been set aside for that. The mayor sits on the county city liaison committee. They had a meeting late May, earlier to tonight anyways. They looked at issues like public health funding, so that would be the Middlesex London Health Unit, regional collaboration. So Middlesex Centre had requested of London for increased wastewater allocation. The city responded that they needed, or they felt that there should be a broader regional infrastructure review. So that sounds like that conversation could become larger. Regional transportation was discussed, along with regional transit. So every time something is talked about from the city, which is like their regional transportation, the county is saying that's great, but we want to talk about regional transit and getting people moved around outside of cars. They discussed election readiness. From Middlesex London Paramedic Service, they discussed Advanced Care Rapid Response Unit. And then they also talked about what's frequently referred to as CISM, the Consolidated Municipal Service Manager, and the cost appointment agreements. I think you've heard me talk before on stuff such as Middlesex London Paramedic Service, Middlesex London Health Unit, London Housing, that the mayor, I believe you chair that now. So most of these are an 85-15 split, with the city picking up 85% of any extra costs and the county picking up 15%, with the majority of the money flowing from the province. So lots of discussion happening there. I know it's continuing on, and the mayor sits there as our representative at council and representing our community well. Thank you.
Thank you. And the deputy mayor used a euphemism for ring road. That was what was on the topic with the city. So we'll start with announcements and inquiries by members. Start with Councillor Epple.
Excuse me, thank you. Yeah, the only thing I have on tonight, we were talking about arenas, so I'm just gonna throw this out there. No one's really playing hockey or skating or doing any of those things except the Strathroy Jets. They're still in the loop. The senior A hockey, we've got a lot of local players, a few stars perhaps, and they're doing really well. They're still playing out of West Middlesex, so it's a lot of fun, and it's good hockey, and guaranteed you walk into that building and you'll know someone there, if not 10, 20, 30 people. So such a great thing that they started a few years ago, and it's really brought a lot of incredible people to this community. So if you're not doing anything Thursday night, if the Leafs isn't on, oh, so is it Friday?
Friday.
Okay, I could be wrong. Sorry if it's Friday night. Come to West Middlesex. That's it for me.
Yeah. Councillor Kennis.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Wilsey.
Earlier this week, I was reading an article on the Inspector General of Policing for Ontario. They celebrated their 1-year anniversary. In that article, they said that they'd met with 39 of 43 police boards. So my question, and their goal was for the goal of improving Ontario's policing performance and identifying trends to get ahead of them. My question for the members of our police board is if we've already met with the Inspector General, if there was any feedback we received from them, and if there's going to be any reports to council, or just if there's good things happening at our police force, I'd like to hear about them. So just see if there's anything happening there.
Did you want to, Councillor Brennan, or do you want me to?
You might as well take it, Your Worship.
Yeah, he did, Councillor Wilsey, I'm sorry, he did, and we did get feedback. They appreciated the questions from council. Was more from the board, it was more of an information from Inspector read from him as to what they're doing, what they're about, and what his mandate is about. But I do believe this police board reports come to the council, the minutes, I don't know, but there wasn't any plan to have anything come back to council. Councillor Wilsey, but I can certainly speak to Matt Hall, who's the chair, and see if he wants to put something together. It was more just information from the Inspector General about his mandate, what he's doing, and that. So that's what it was. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, and as a follow-up, I'm not necessarily looking to add reports to our agenda. Just if there's good news stories or good things happening from the police or any other department, I'd like to hear about them as a council member, so that we're not just talking about issues and spending money, but we're hearing about some of the good things that happen here as well.
So I'll jump ahead. There is a good news story. In June, our police chief, Mark Campbell, will be installed as president of Ontario Chiefs of Police. That is a huge feather in the cap, not just for Chief Campbell, but for a small community like Strathroy-Caradoc to have our police chief recognized as president of the Ontario Chiefs of Police. Bear in mind, that's Toronto, Hamilton, Ottawa, all the major urban centers. So that is a good news story since you asked. Okay, Councillor Brennan.
Nothing tonight, Your Worship.
Councillor Peltman.
Just as I said earlier on item 8.2, I believe that there was consideration of goodwill for the idea, just not for the wording of the motion. So just wondering if maybe Councillor Derbyshire would be willing to work on the wording and bring it back.
Go down like Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, as the farming season starts, we'll be out on the roads, so watch out for the big red, green, blue, whatever color tractor and equipment. And the other side is farmers. We always get it in the ground, we always get it off. Slow down, watch out for people. Just take our time, it'll all get done. I did have 2 inquiries, just looking for an update on how the Mount Bridges wastewater plant is coming and how the dump closer water report was, and if we will be seeing that fairly soon, and kind of how we feel and how that kind of shaped up. Maybe it'll be in a report, but at this point I just wonder if we can get an update on how when RVC's coming and how that report was for the water.
Through the chair, a quick response. So the one RVC is planned slightly delayed from the last repair date, but the next date is on Monday. So it should be coming in and being installed on Monday. We'll then have 2. Sorry, what was the other question?
The other one was the report back from the testing of the water for the dump closure. I know that was brought forward back February 3rd or 4th, and it was going to be, you were reviewing that report and then going to bring it back forward and let us know how the test results, how that all went.
Is there a motion on that?
You can defer that and get back to council if you wish. Yeah. We'll get back to Councillor Derbyshire. Councillor Hammer.
Yeah, just Reminder that this Friday is the grand opening of the Arda Faulkner Community Garden, which is quite exciting, I think, for the community. This will be the first official community garden. I know there's been a couple of smaller ones, but this represents a partnership of service clubs, businesses, the municipality, Tree Canada, many, many partners. And I think that that sort of collaboration is what we aim for and how we get projects done. So that will be happening on Friday, I believe, and I'm sure you'll see lots in the media about that, but if you can attend, that will be a nice ribbon cutting.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so just following up from Councillor Pammer, I was on site earlier this week over at the gardens as they're developing them, and you know, the number of people that are over there volunteering their time. Sean Belinsky was, which is Faulkner's Excavating. He was out there doing lots of work. The high school students are out there doing work. Firefield is out there doing work. Our town guys were out there working. And a lot of times I'm using the word guys gender neutral because there's lots of ladies out there working, and what an amazing project to come together. And Sean already gave me my t-shirt for the grand opening on Friday, so, and I was supposed to wear it tonight and I was rushing and I forgot, so I'm sorry, Sean. I'll do my best to wear it at our next meeting. One thing I was at earlier on Good Friday was the Strathroy Lions Good Friday brunch. And I had the absolute pleasure of being able to take my dad, who's a longtime Lions member, down to it. And you know, what a wonderful, amazing group of people they have in that club. I know many of them. Many of them are new, but they took a lot of time to welcome an old member back. And so I just want to say thank you. And then as I got thinking about that, I know we have Rotarians in the room. We have optimists doing great work in Strathroy. We have people volunteering at the Wright Center. Mount Bridges has lots going on. So, you know, we're just so fortunate that we have the number of volunteers in this community that have found their little niche that they like to work in. The Masonic Lodge for Councillor Wilsey. You know, we all have that area that we love to work in, and we're going to start seeing that a lot more. March kind of kicks it off when we have Lions down in Mount Bridges doing Farmers Night, and then Good Friday brunch, and here we go towards summer, and we'll see everybody out working. So just a big thank you to everybody that volunteers your time in the community. Without that, we really don't have much of a community.
And thank you. If I may be off of the date, but I believe May 3rd is World Press Freedom Day. Just a reminder, if ever the world needs freedom of press, it's now, and it's my love as the press and the media. But just a reminder that Monday, May 3rd is World Press Freedom Day, so remind everyone of that. We will now move into closed session at 8:33 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the following. One item in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of March 26th and April 7th. And one item pursuant to section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001 regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, the industrial park. One item pursuant to section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act regarding personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, organizational changes. And one item pursuant to section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act as amended regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, the Adelaide Metcalf Servicing, and we will take a 10-minute recess until 8:44. So someone to bring the motion to go into close. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Okay, we are back live. Motion that open session resume at 9:32 p.m. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Kennis, all in favor, carried. Council met in closed session and considered matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and is listed on tonight's council agenda. The following items were considered during the closed session. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of March 26th and April 7th. The meeting minutes were approved. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(c) of the Municipal Act regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. Direction was given to staff. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(b) of the Municipal Act regarding personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, organizational changes. Council received a verbal update. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(e) of the Municipal Act is amended regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, the Adelaide Metcalf Servicing Agreement. Council received a verbal update. Direction was given to staff. Motion of the direction given in closed session be approved. Councilor Pelkman, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Consideration of bylaws. There are a number of 6 bylaws. Motion that bylaw number 42-25, bylaw number 43-25, bylaw number 44-25, bylaw number 47-25, bylaw number 51-25, and bylaw number 52-25 receive first, second, third, and final reading. Someone bring the motion. Councilor Kennis, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn at 9:34 p.m. Councilor Brennan, second by Councilor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried.